recommends a place, I know it's going to be good. So, folks, what I want to tell you about Dennis Salvagio is that he is a criminal defense attorney right here in Orlando. And I've been a lawyer for 30 years. Dennis, you've been a lawyer for how many years now?
Well, 38 years. I start my 39th year in December.
Okay, so then you might also know Dennis as the fat guy. He is the Orlando Magic's #1 fan. And so, Dennis, I'd like to start with talking to the audience today about the fat guy and how that came about and the history of it. And I think it's quite a fascinating story. So tell me, how did you ever get started? I know you didn't try and get started as a fat guy, no. But one way or another, it came about that you became that and, represent the fans of the Orlando Magic basketball.
Well, one game during the early years, the first year, in fact, it was a Washington Bullets game when they were called the Bullets. We were tied with them at the end of regulation, and I was kind of cheering the people around me to get up and see if we could win it. Remember, we only won about 18 games that year. And as I was cheering, look, I'm not the thinnest guy in the world. In fact, I'm overweight, as everybody knows. And they put the camera on me, and as I was cheering, I didn't know it, I was raising my hands up and down. The entire crowd got up and responded, and we actually went into 2 overtimes, and we only lost the game by 1 point. Well, they started calling me, stuff came up and kissed me, and they showed on the Jumbotron that stuff, and then they showed me and said more stuff. And then it was Bill Marks of the Sentinel who wrote a poem, not a very flattering one, by the way, about me, and he called me the fat guy, and that's how the name began, and I thought I'd have my 15 minutes of fame, and I'm still here.
Well, that would be like 15 years ago, right?
23 years ago.
Okay, see, I know that time flies.
Yeah, that was the first
years
season.
Ago. And so did you go to the Knicks game knowing that you're the fat guy, and what were your expectations about whether you might be on camera that night or not?
Well, after the poem, the next day I found myself on the front page, living color, on the Sentinel, and then things started to go crazy for me. I went to radio stations and TV stations. I even went to NBC, CBS, ABC. All the networks saw me. So by the next game, I saw a number of people in the stands going with signs that said, "Hey, fat guy, fat guy." And like I said, I didn't think it would last long, but, I'm talking to you today about the fat guy.
So 23 years, and I think you probably had season tickets all 23 years, I suspect, right?
Yes, we bought our season tickets.
And so from the very get-go, you are up and cheering the crowd on as the fat guy. And at some point in time, you started wearing some costumes that might go along with that role. Is that right?
Well, I thought I couldn't shake it. I thought that this wasn't meant to be forever. And it got to the point where I said, hey, why don't I just get some shirts to wear with some crazy pants? And that's how it all started. And now I have a tailor who does all my outfits for me. And I have a lot of fun.
I'd like to see some of those outfits sometime. And by the way, folks, remember that I am videotaping every radio show now. And later this week, I will be posting a video of my interview with attorney Dennis Salvagio. And again, he is the fat guy from the Orlando Magic. And Dennis, as he sits here in the studio, is wearing an Orlando Magic shirt, one that you might very well wear to a game like that.
I think a number of times, I've wore this shirt a number of times to the games. I think most of the people that go to the games maybe have seen me in this one. Okay, so I know this from having lunch with you, Dennis, that as we are in any restaurant, it might be that people are coming up and they recognize you. And that's got to be a good feeling, I suppose. Well, it's nice. Everybody always says hello. Everybody has a nice word for me. They ask me to keep rooting for the Magic and spur them on. So it's kind of nice to have that situation develop.
And so do you have any particular Magic games when you feel like you, the fat guy, made the difference? You brought the Magic and turned the game around, and anything that anything that stands out as special as a particular game or two for you?
Well, there's been a couple games where I thought I actually had an impact. One of the games I remember we were 6 points behind with less than a minute left, and I got up and I took a lap around the arena, and we won by 1 point. There's several of those games. I don't know if I was responsible, but certainly the crowd responded, and that's all I ask for, that they respond to what I do.
Very good. And so I look forward to going to a Magic game sometime and seeing you as part of that participation. It'd be a lot of fun. And, you know, I want to thank you for what you do for the Atlanta Magic and the community. I know you become something to rally around, just like Stuff, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, Stuff's a good friend, too. The Dragon's a good friend. And, of course, I know the Magic girls, and it's always fun to interact with them as well. But you can go to, when the season starts this year,
okay,
you'll be my guest of the game. How's that sound?
I would love that very much because, you know, I've been to one Magic game, actually two, but the first one I was in the very last row in the very top section.
Well, I have some pretty good seats, so.
I would like that very much. So.